Hey guys, it's Hell Hades, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today I just want to talk you through a champion guide on Skartorsis. Hopefully you guys have all had a good sort of double summonings pull. I know a few people now are going to be sitting here with new legendaries that they'd like to understand better. So I think I'm going to spend the next week or so just trying to do some guides on some of these legendaries. If you've got any in particular that you would like me to do, I've got a fair chunk here, a lot of which I actually use in different dungeons pretty consistently. So, I don't just have one team that does all my dungeons. Pretty much everything you're seeing on this roster has got a home. And then I do have a couple more which do sit in the vault, but are used for more like faction war sort of things, which again I can do some guides on. So, if there's any that you're seeing, let me know. But today we're looking at Skartorsis. So I'll run over the skills first. I think he's actually a pretty cool legendary, mainly aimed at dungeons really. Good in dungeons, he's good in PvP as well. He's become quite top tier in PvP since we've had the plat arenas. And yeah, sort of generally usable. I mean, pretty clutch in, I'd say, faction wars as well. Not really a clan boss champion, but pretty much anywhere else in the game he's good. So he's got three kind of main abilities. His A1 attacks all enemies. So everything he does is pretty much to support the rest of your team. He does kick out a bit of damage, but that's not really what he's mainly for. So we've got an A1 here. It's got a 30% chance, which booked up becomes 50. It's a pretty high chance of stealing one random buff from every enemy. This can be absolutely clutch when you're talking about arena teams, when you are in some of the sort of faction war content. You can sort of go in and just rip off those buffs which are basically causing you problems. If you can do that without really endangering yourself, then even better. So yeah, good solid A1. Can do a decent chunk of damage with this as well. So if you've got the right gear on, if you went sort of properly offensive with him, then you can easily be getting 20, 30k crits with this ability per member you're fighting. We've got an A2, which again is, I really like this. I think it's probably a bit more old-fashioned. He was one of the earlier legendaries that came out, so it is for all your allies. You get increased attack, so the higher value increased attack, a good 30% increased crit rate. So certainly I pulled Skartorsis quite early. I'd say maybe 3 months in, and I used him to become my crit rate. So pretty much my whole teams I was building with 70% crit because I knew that this was on a good cooldown, 3-turn cooldown. So, pretty much I knew it was up for 2 turns. So, any dungeon waves, pretty much I had the crit rate up. I was able to build a lot of my nuke champions, perhaps a bit tankier or a bit more normal damage, crit damage rather than crit rate. I knew this was going to land. Good ability. And then his third ability, and this is why he's getting so much arena love. So he's a bit like the champion that I've been using in my epic videos, mostly in mage. So he's got the ability to remove all debuffs from all allies, and then he heals all allies and fills their turn meters. It's very similar to Morsley and Mage ability. So the amount that he heals is basically down to the number of debuffs that he removes, and the amount which he fills turn meter is also down to the amount of debuffs that he removes. So the reason why he's so good in the arena is he can basically be a cleanse for your whole team. If you've got hegemons coming at you and all that type of stuff, then as long as he's quick enough, he can go before the rest of your team, cleanse all of those debuffs off, heal them, increase their turn meter, and then basically you gain the upper hand in terms of the advantage in the arena. So very cool. He's also got an aura which is 33% speed in dungeons, which again is really big. That's really big. So auras always are taken from base stats, whereas buffs are taken from total stats. So his aura will affect that 109, it won't affect the full speed. So yeah, so I've got him built at the moment for arena. I've got him built as basically as a defensive champion that can resist most of the buffs that are coming at me. And then with the view of he can basically cleanse the buffs off the rest of my team. So if he's not got the freezes and the stuns and all that type of stuff, provokes, he'll go first. He'll cleanse my team, and yeah, basically keep me in the game. So with that, there's a few things which is really cool to put on him. So this is the kind of defensive build, but it's defensive build, but with a decent amount of offense built into it. And what I've done here is kind of gone resistance, reduce damage when hit with crits, basically into reduce damage if he gets hit a multiple number of times. This one here can increase his turn meter if one of the team gets hit with a crit. I want him to go fast. I want him to come up jumps with the speed. And then this is quite important. So it's a counter attack if he loses more than 25% of his HP with one hit. So, you know, that early stage of a game, if you're not going first, there's a good chance you're going to get chunked out because the enemies are going to be using their biggest abilities. A nice thing here is he counter attacks. Potentially he can counter attack and steal buffs. He can counter attack and use any gear that he's wearing, and I'll show you that in a second. And then I've kind of gone down here into a resistance build. So a lot of people will do kind of this part of the build, but they will go down into Helm Smasher or perhaps to crit rate. But yeah, there's so many different options you can do with him, depending on how you're using him. So in terms of gear, I've got him in pretty tanky sets. So what I've got him in here is a provoke set. Nice thing about provoke sets and stun sets and that type of thing is irrelevant of your accuracy. So my accuracy means nothing right now. Irrelevant of that, I have got a 30% chance to provoke somebody. So my accuracy makes no difference to this. I always get a 30% chance to provoke somebody. If I'm attacking a full team, and don't forget he's AoE, then basically 1 in 4 of those team should be provoked at least. That's quite a nice set, and quite a nice set for him. Other good sets for him could be kind of, I guess, overall damage sets if you wanted to go that route. So, you know, crit rate, speed set's always going to be good on him. As I said, I've got him built high resistance, but that is kind of a requirement if you want him for this sort of style arena setup. But there are other sets that could be good. So counter attack sets could be quite nice on him. One set that I'd like to get, and I don't have enough pieces yet, is Frenzy, especially for the type of build that I'm using him for. So basically, whenever he loses whenever he loses HP, he gains turn meter. If you can imagine, so the reason I've got him in the team is because I want him to speed up my team and cleanse them. Now, if somebody goes big like a Hegemon and hits him for 25% of his health, essentially there I gain 50% of my turn meter. So instead of Hegemon going and then 2 other people going from the opponent team, Hegemon goes, this guy goes next, cuts in, and then I get my speed team on the back of it. It's a really cool set. I need to get some more pieces so I can get this working. But I think it's probably, if you use him for arena as a sort of defensive character, I think it's probably the best set on him. It also really benefit from things like stun sets. Relentless wouldn't be bad either. So yeah, there's lots of options actually, which is why he's kind of quite diverse. Provoke set's quite nice though. So if you see here, I've got HP gloves with defensive stats, resistance, distance chest because I'm trying to make sure he doesn't get those debuffs on him. Speed boots, they could easily be defensive or resistance, but I do want him to go first in my team. And then if you see here, I've just kind of built the same sort of thing. So it's either crit rate, crit damage, speed, HP, or defense across everything really. Resistance. Yeah. Accuracy is a bonus. Accuracy is needed for his A1 to steal buffs. And I've made the decision on this setup that resistance is more important to me than the accuracy. Even if you see his banner here, it's a resistance banner. A lot of people would build him accuracy to steal buffs, and that's kind of his main setup. But for arena, I'd rather get the resistance. You see here, so I've gone defensive on the amulet. Again, you could go crit damage on the amulet. Main reason I've gone defense is because I just want him to stay alive, and I want the resistance to be high and accuracy. And then defense again. Defense, HP, defense. So I've got him to be kind of tanky and basically ready for my arena setup. So I think what we'll do, let's give him a run in the arena. I'm pretty high right now, so I'm at 57 plat tiering. I've been doing a lot of battles with my epic teams. So I'm just going to run in. Let's see, so we're going to get plenty of damage against us early here. Let's guys out. You can see him in action. So speed lead doesn't work in arena, so that's going to be no good to us. What I'm going to do is actually going to throw in. Let's just do this. Throw in my resistance lead. I'm going to set myself up as a resistance team. We're going to throw in my warlord, my Skartorsis. I'm going to put in Altan, and who else should I play? Perhaps we'll throw in the witch. Okay, so everybody's high resistance apart from this witch. But even if she takes those debuffs, hopefully we'll be able to just cleanse them off with my Skartorsis. One of the challenges here actually is that no one can resist this ghost spawn. I didn't think of that. You see here, so we've got debuffs on right now. I've got a choice of either pumping up my crit rate and attack. Attack's not that useful this team, so I've gone mainly defensive team. Or I can cleanse off the debuffs, which is useful because hits from these guys are going to hurt a lot. You'll see what happens is, or I can actually go A1 and just try and steal their buffs and provoke. I'm gonna cleanse. So I'm gonna cleanse up. You see there, all those debuffs are gone. Let my team do their thing. And then Altan brings the pain. See you later. You see now they've got unkillables on. So again, what I could do is either increase crit, or I can try and steal some of these unkillables. At the same time as trying to steal them with our A1, with his A1, I'm also trying to place provoke. So I've got provoke gear on. There you go, 1 provoke, 2 provokes. Didn't steal any buffs, but then that's the trouble with the setup I've got here, is his accuracy is not that high. But even just placing those 2 provokes puts me in control. But again, it's kind of dependent on what you're trying to do with your setup. So again, I've got no problems here, so I might as well just try and steal those unkillable buffs. Didn't do it. Now we just kind of start finishing people off. You see, he's pretty tanky. So look, that's a big old slap from Sir Nick and not very much damage. He actually kind of, there we go, just stole the unkillable buff there. See that? Stole the unkillable buff. But all of a sudden, he swung the tide. The Nick's not unkillable. I am. The Nick's dead. Really useful champ in the arena. And he's useful right through, you know, from bronze, silver, gold, and into plat. He's properly top tier arena champion. So let's go into a couple of dungeons. Show you what you can do there. Let's go into dragons. This is probably one of the stages or places that I would have run him the most. So he's red affinity, which helps us against this. Let me just find him again. Yeah. So it gives me a speed lead. 33%. 33% is huge, actually. It's really big. So let's this. Yeah. So that alone, that kind of speed lead, is really helpful for us in any of the dungeons. You see here, boosted crit. Make sure I'm getting my crit damage in. And then you see that, look, 17k, 15, 16, 17k. That's been built as a tank. Not even built to do kind of proper damage. See that one provoke there, stops the apothecary doing his speed up. Just kind of slapping away through them. Again there, see, basically took no damage from that. So tanky. I lost my raw guard, which is annoying. I haven't got it set up to really accommodate Skartorsis, but never mind. The main thing is you can just see how he works. So what you're kind of relying on here is basically a lot of poison now to nuke this dragon down. See there, so the poison's ticked it over the purple mark, and we're good. But you see how fast we are. That extra 33%. It's basically adding about another 30 speed per champion here, on average, which is a lot. See there, he's just cleansed all of those debuffs. When the dragon does his kind of nuke ability, which puts debuffs everywhere, Skartorsis will just cleanse it and speed people up and heal people. Great combination. Getting there for 14Ks. Now that's not bad going for somebody that's built to tank and is a support. And we're going to end up with a relatively average speed time. But again, this team is not really set up around this composition. It's just set up to. Just wanted to show you a build. If it wasn't so costly to move items around on champions, it'd be quite interesting to show you the actual damage he could kick out. Perhaps I'll try it in a different video at some point. But he can do some pretty insane damage. But, so let's just have a go on. Let's have a think. Yeah, we'll go on spiders. I don't know. I don't want to do it on 20 because actually he's not great on 20 because the affinity. So let's just go and avoid. I wouldn't use him on 20, but I would use him further back. I'm going to take my speed team off because that's pretty fair. We'll get the speed lead. Perhaps we'll do something like a Morley tanking the spiderlings, and then we can just throw in a raw guard, gold, R, and yeah, let's try this. So kind of, I don't know, it's a bit of an average selection of champs really, but you'll just see what he's there to do in this. So again, speed lead gives us a lot of advantage over this turn meter gain that the spider gains. Morley's in there to provoke, but actually at this level perhaps we're too strong. You'll see he also does his AoE, so hitting the spiders for a decent amount and gaining the odd provoke here and there. This set on, if it was a stun set, you'd be doing the same as well, stunning them. Quite nice. If you were to properly use him on spiders 20, you'd actually want him to be in retaliation gear, so that every time he takes a hit from a spiderling as the weak affinity, he actually retaliates and AoEs all of the spiders, which is quite a nice set. But again, I can't just move gear around without spending a load of silver, and I don't have loads of silver spare right now after the couple of events we've done recently. You kind of get an idea. He's kind of really strong in this sort of area, spider type area. Speed is always going to be a benefit. I'm not going to run it through to the end. We've got no problems with surviving this fight. Actually, I'll just let you see. Should do a rebirth here, which will heal everybody. Yeah, there you go. So rebirth, so it just kind of keeps you guys topped off. If we'd had a load of poisons on us there, then that rebirth would have healed for a lot more. But it just kind of shows you his versatility in this sort of fight. So I'm going to cut out this so we don't end up spending tons of time on it. But he's pretty decent. He's pretty decent for that type of thing. In terms of other areas, so he's super effective on some of the keeps. So the keep, actually, I'll show you this one because it's quite good fun. So we've got a keep here where obviously the blue dungeon should put a massive shield on herself. Come in, take out all crazy damage. Okay. So he's got a chance here to basically steal the buff from the boss. See here, we just kind of nuke our way through the waves pretty easily. Effect. All of these keeps basically only down up to level. Yeah, only down up to this level 15 is pretty easy for most end game. He didn't get the steal. Clearly, he didn't get the steal. If he gets the steal, he gets the most ridiculous shield you've ever seen. Let's see if we do it in a minute. He's got block debuffs up now as well. Come on, don't let me down. Don't let me. Actually, it's not the accuracy thing here. His accuracy is enough to steal this shield. He's just not hitting it. That's 50% chance each time, and not doing it. Basically, I mean, his HP just looks ridiculous when he does it because the shield is so huge. Come on, do it. Let's have it. Let's have it. Steal buff. What did he steal? He stole. Did he steal the power up? I'm not sure. He stole a buff. He didn't steal the shield. Let me down. Let me down on my video. 50% it says. 50. Anyway, he's super cool in this fight anyway, because if he does steal that shield, he stole the increased defense there. If he steals a shield, he becomes basically unkillable, and you can do some really quick runs if he's on form. I'll quickly show you as well campaign. So he's not the best campaign farmer, but again, he's not terrible. In the sort of setup I've got him at the moment, he's not set up as a campaign farmer. You would put him in a lot more damage, and you'd basically just be one shot in the waves. As it stands here, his natural kind of default is to buff his teammates before he does that ability. You'll see kind of hitting for, and he's actually the weak affinity here to 12-3, so not ideal to do the kind of end game farm, but if you had him fairly early in your kind of raid career, then it will really help you get through a lot of waves. And he'll always be able to do this because he's got the regeneration and that sort of stuff, but because we're against green and he's red, it makes it quite difficult. But it's still going to end up being like a 50-second or something. If we were against, you know, perhaps stage 11 stuff, then it would be, you know, really easy. But he's just so tanky that he's got no problem getting through it. So that's him in campaign. It'd be equally fine for, you know, things like Fire Knights. He's good for Fire Knights, but he doesn't have an A1 that does multiple hits. So he's good in a sense that he's speeding your team up. Your team are getting their hits off quicker. Perhaps I'll show you it quickly. But again, it's red affinity, so it's not too bad for him. Let's take out my blind seer. Keep blind seer in. Take out these. Default to that. Right, okay. So you'll see here is, you know, the benefit of him being in is helping on waves, and because you've got speed, you've got increased crit, you've got this kind of A1 that hits everybody, so it's an AoE attack, which does decent damage. You've got 2 free provokes off of that hit. So it kind of just gets you through the waves quicker. What he's not able to do though is kind of really benefit you on the actual boss part of the fight. But yeah, he's pretty strong. Certainly right the way through levels 1 to 15, I had him in my team all the time. It wasn't until we got to this kind of higher level of content that they released, he started to come out and be replaced with people that perhaps was a bit better for the final boss fight. Things like the rebirths, you see the sort of life regen that he can give you, that's all helpful. He does cut through, you know, nice hits, 15k hits. He kind of just keeps your team going at a decent rate, really. Guys hit pretty hard. You might see him do a rebirth here to cleanse his stun. That's down on cooldown. But yeah, I mean, you get the idea. I'm gonna cut the video here because actually the boss fight, we'll win the boss fight. It's just going to be long, and you're not going to get any more benefit from that. But he's a super useful champ. I'd rate him as probably an A for any dungeon content. I'd rate him for probably a B for anything sort of campaign related. I'd rate him as an S, maybe S plus for arena. Probably S plus for arena if you build him in the right way. And not particularly useful at all in clan boss, so probably would bring him right down to kind of D, and probably put him in the bracket of just not really worth getting into that sort of place with him. But yeah, really useful champion, really fun champ as well, so versatile. Yeah, that's my verdict of Skartorsis. This is Hell Hades. This has been my channel, Addicted to Gaming. Catch you all soon.